This man scratched his scalp like crazy. Soon a pile of dandruff had built up. Then he blew gently, and a world-famous painting was born. This was his original painting technique, but unfortunately, this technique couldn't be used on paper. As a result, he couldn't hand in his works on time. He even had to cover his own royalties due to unpaid rent. The next second, the landlord came knocking on the door. Scared, the man immediately hid in the closet. When the landlord came in and saw no one there, he directly started showing the house to a new tenant. This was the start of a turning point in the man's fate, because the man in front of him was known for being able to grant any wish. Moreover, Moguro Fukuzo could sense there was someone else in the room. Next, Moguro Fukuzo deliberately lured the landlord to the closet and used the mural as an excuse to get the landlord to open it. Then, they naturally found the man hiding inside. Afterward, Moguro Fukuzo rented the house and didn't drive the tenant away either. He even offered to let the man continue living there, but with one condition: he had to live in the closet. The man was overjoyed when he heard this. He'd been worried about having no place to stay. What's more, living in the closet made him feel extremely comfortable. It was like being back in his mother's womb. Creating inside even filled him with constant inspiration. He soon finished his first batch of drafts. However, when he took his paintings to submit to the publisher, he suddenly fainted from the sunlight outside. Seeing how afraid he was of sunlight, Moguro Fukuzo decisively had a house custom built for him. It was small but had all the necessary amenities. Soon, he created more works inside it, and Moguro Fukuzo helped him deliver them to the publisher. Hard work paid off. The man gained a large number of fans because of his works. He even started daydreaming about a life of luxury and indulgence. Just as he was about to go out and enjoy it, he realized he couldn't open the door at all. He even suspected that Moguro Fukuzo had run away with his money. Immediately, he started smashing the walls everywhere. Soon, he broke through a wall, but what greeted him was the harshest sunlight. Right away, the man knelt down and begged Moguro Fukuzo to save him. How great is it to be single in middle age? Even though his house is a total mess, the freedom and ease make up for it. All his colleagues are tightly controlled by their wives, but Shota gets to hang out with attractive women every day. Unfortunately, the woman he's with tonight isn't interested in a follow-up date, so Shota has to go home early. Strangely enough, his house is spotlessly clean when he gets back, and there's a hearty dinner on the table. Just then, a woman suddenly appears. She's a housekeeper introduced by Moguro Fukuzo. Shota then remembers the weird salesman he met last night, but he never agreed to hire a housekeeper. Shota refuses to let anyone ruin his single life. But it's the middle of the night and the woman and her daughter have nowhere else to stay. In the end, Shota decides to let them stay for the night. The next morning, Shota is woken up by the smell of food. His usual breakfast is just bread and milk. He hasn't had such a hearty breakfast in a long time. Every corner of the house is neatly taken care of by the housekeeper. His colleagues are all amazed at how energetic Shota looks lately. But by nightfall, the housekeeper leaves after making a table of dinner. After all, Shota only let her stay for one night. While eating, he suddenly spots Moguro Fukuzo's business card. Having tasted the benefits, Shota goes to find Moguro Fukuzo. Of course, Moguro Fukuzo can get the housekeeper back, but he makes Shota promise not to develop feelings for her. After that, Shota lives a comfortable life. However, alcohol always unlocks the desires in people's hearts. Shota still confesses his feelings to the housekeeper. Moguro Fukuzo's punishment arrives in no time. It turns out there's another man hiding in the house, who is the housekeeper's husband. This is a carefully planned honey trap, and the man's goal is to live here permanently. As if that's not enough, Shota's ex-wife runs off with another man, and custody of their children falls back to him. In just a few days, Shota's single life comes to an end forever. This is undoubtedly the darkest episode of Moguro Fukuzo. Kenta, who has worked diligently for half his life, ends up being turned into a chair in the end. Kenta lives in an ordinary family, working tirelessly every day to afford a bigger house. He heads to the factory as soon as dawn breaks. Kenta is an employee at a printing factory. The heavy workload leaves him exhausted. When working late into the night, he could only sleep in his chair. Yet this is the most comfortable moment of his day. But just then, a strange figure flashes past the window. It's Moguro Fukuzo. Fortunately, this time Moguro Fukuzo only asks Kenta to print some business cards. The next day, Kenta goes to the magic house. Moguro Fukuzo not only gives him a generous payment, but also hears that Kenta can never sleep well. So he gives Kenta a very large bed as a gift. As soon as Kenta lies down on it, he falls asleep immediately, feeling so comfortable. Such a big bed is enough to make Kenta's family of 4 overjoyed. When he arrives at the company, Kenta holds his head high, saying he'll go home to sleep that night. But reality always falls short of expectations. Even with such a big bed, Kenta can only huddle on the edge of it. He can't even stretch his legs, and has to endure his wife's snoring and occasional slaps all night. Finally unable to bear it, Kenta got up and decided to sleep on a chair at the office. Unexpectedly, Moguro Fukuzo stops him halfway. Seeing how Kenta can't sleep peacefully no matter what, the kind-hearted Moguro Fukuzo decides to help him once and for all. With the power of magic, Moguro Fukuzo grants Kenta the ability to fall asleep peacefully whenever he wants. This man is already 22 years old, but he still needs his mom to take care of him every day. Even though he's fully dressed, Ida doesn't go to work. Instead, he goes to a park to kill time. It turns out Ida just graduated and found a job, but the section chief in charge of him is always harsh. At home, Ida has never been scolded before, so when he faces even a little setback in society, Ida can't handle it. Moguro Fukuzo wanted to help Ida solve his troubles, but unexpectedly, this mama's boy saw the salesman's business card and left right away, because his mom has always warned him to stay away from salesmen and women. Another day begins. Ida, who doesn't want to go to work, goes to the park again. Facing Moguro Fukuzo, who appears again, Ida decides to trust him once. However, Moguro Fukuzo tells him to knit wool at the company, and he just needs to do it secretly. Although confused, Ida still follows the instructions obediently. But not long after, Ida, who is secretly knitting wool at noon, is discovered by everyone. He is called to the top floor by the section chief. Ida thinks he will be scolded, but surprisingly, the section chief starts knitting wool skillfully. His kind smile is like the spring sun. The section chief, who used to be harsh to him, suddenly transforms into a big brother, who teaches him to knit wool whenever he has free time. Ida's mom is also very happy about his time with the section chief, thinking her son is appreciated by the leader at work. But when she sees Ida knitting wool, she is extremely surprised. At the same time, following Moguro Fukuzo's advice, Ida hides his own business from his mom for the first time, but it turns out to be a failure. At the company, Ida's relationship with the section chief becomes closer and closer. However, Ida's mom suddenly comes to the company, carrying high-end wool. In front of all the subordinates, she reveals the secret, that the harsh section chief likes knitting sweaters. In an instant, the section chief's authority collapses completely. Ida hurries to kowtow and apologize, but it's already too late. Because of this incident, the section chief resigns from his job, but he is not panicky at all, because he still has a job he truly loves, being the principal of a sweater knitting training class. In the warm classroom, two men teach the women below to knit sweaters, but a wave of anger suddenly approaches. Ida's angry mom questions him, "Why did you quit your high-paying job to stay in this weird place?" Ida, who has had enough of his mom, turns around and embraces the section chief. It turns out the two of them have already fallen in love. This man threw away all the eternal youth potions in his house. It was only because he couldn't stand the side effects of this stuff. Yamada had to drink a case of cola every day. If he went more than an hour without drinking it, his whole body would twitch. He ran as fast as he could to the vending machine, but someone was already buying drinks like crazy. By the time that person left, all the drinks in the machine were sold out. Yamada wanted to buy a few bottles of drinks from Moguro Fukuzo. Unexpectedly, Moguro Fukuzo directly quoted a sky-high price of 10,000 yen per bottle. This price was enough to deter any normal person. But Yamada, overwhelmed by his craving, didn't care about that anymore. He was now dizzy and felt terrible all over. Moguro Fukuzo seemed to have found a new toy. He gave all his drinks to Yamada for free. Such an interesting prey was quite rare. After regaining his energy, Yamada invited Moguro Fukuzo to his home. His job was a screenwriter. His irregular schedule left him with little appetite. Yamada could go without eating, but he couldn't go without drinking soda. Moguro Fukuzo wanted to help him get back to health. He took out a jar of disgusting-looking stuff. As long as he drank this, he wouldn't get any diseases. He could easily live to be over 100 years old. Such an expensive thing was given for free, and the only condition was that Yamada take good care of it. The next day, the script editor came to collect the manuscript, but the room was so clean, it made him wonder if he had gone to the wrong house. Yamada had also become gentle and easygoing now. Then Yamada introduced the eternal youth potion. First, cool down boiled milk, then remove the film on the surface, pour it into a container, and finally leave it in a dark place for 12 hours. With that, the magical eternal youth potion was ready. The editor told Yamada to hand in the manuscript quickly, but Yamada had been busy taking care of the eternal youth potion lately, so he hadn't written a single word. He promised the editor he would finish the task the next day. However, that night, Yamada couldn't come up with any ideas no matter what, because he was too clear-minded. He couldn't concentrate. It was all the eternal youth potion's fault. It was this stuff that prevented him from working properly. In a fit of anger, he smashed all the eternal youth potions. This action violated his agreement with Moguro Fukuzo, and the consequences would usually be severe. The man works hard all day, and when they get home, they don't even have the right to take a shower. All because the sound of bathing would disturb his son who was studying for exams. Even speaking a little louder at home would make his son unhappy. Living in a family like this, it seemed his days ahead would be void of joy. To fill the emptiness in his heart, Shoyuta found Moguro Fukuzo. Now, Shoyuta could no longer feel the joy of coming home. So Moguro Fukuzo gave him something he could pour his love into. A potted flower called Cattleya. It was a type of orchid. Beautiful and large bloomed, it was even known as the Queen of Orchids. And most importantly, it was given to Shoyuta for free. Back home, facing his wife and child who showed him no affection. Shoyuta had long become numb. To rediscover the joy of coming home, he followed Moguro Fukuzo's instructions and decided to care for this cattleya with love. On warm days, he let it absorb sunlight. In the evening, he watered it promptly, and closing the windows at night was a must, for the late-night breeze was harmful to it. From then on, Shoyuta had something to look forward to after work, and a smile finally appeared on his gloomy face. Now, the flower would bloom in just 2.5 days, but this time, when he got home, he found the window hadn't been closed. This made Shoyuta lose his temper with his wife. However, his wife was even angrier than him. With no authority in the family, Shoyuta could only hold back his anger. Unexpectedly, before long, his wife came to apologize unusually. She even told him to go take a bath and eat. After bathing, Shoyuta didn't notice at all the eerie look on his wife's face. When he had eaten half of the food in front of him, his wife finally said coldly, "This was made with your favorite thing." Finally, Shoyuta broke down completely. He cried alone in the park at night. Then Moguro Fukuzo appeared. Seeing him, Shoyuta immediately poured out his grievances. The flower was about to bloom, but now I've eaten it myself. It was indeed a pity for him to have such a wife, but he had broken his promise to Moguro Fukuzo, and he still had to be punished for that.